One of the hallmarks of the PMP exam is the plethora of content. A student of mine, Brendan Venter, got certified and shared this tool with the world. This is a tool he put together to explain the different components in the project management plan, and also you can see project documents. So let's go through these one by one. First of all, we have the project management plan, and under this section of project management plan components, we can see from here all the way on down, we have different components of the project management plan. Now, before hitting the project management plan, he's also highlighted a very important document that is not part of the project management plan and is not part of project documents. It is the project charter. Now here we can see the project charter comes out of the develop project charter process. It's a document that authorizes the project. And if you scroll down where we have this I, we can see it's an output of here, but it's an input to planning, the develop project management plan process. And as you scroll down the document, you can see all the other places where the project charter is an input: to close project or phase, to plan scope management, to collect requirements, so on and so forth. The list goes on. So that's the project charter. You can see, jumping into the project management plan, we have the development approach. The development approach, theoretically speaking, comes from develop project management plan. And it's an input, of course, back in here and to a number of other places. And you can see where the development approach has been emphasized as a sub-input. So this document is pretty deep. If you want to knock yourself out with content about PMBOK Guide 6, just play with this document. You'll find a lot of content in here. The development approach is pretty much, are we going to use Agile? Are we going to use adaptive, which is Agile, predictive, which is sometimes in industry known as plan-driven? Are we going to use iterative or incremental? The project life cycle description talks about the specific phases in the project. Change management plan is a plan for managing changes. As you can see, it's an output of develop project management plan. The configuration management plan, again, it's a plan that guides you on how to manage change as far as the configurable items. This is all about version control of configurable items such as widgets, drawings, and other configurable items. Management reviews just refers to how often management will meet for reviews and what the process will be for that. The PMB, or performance measurement baseline, is a confluence of the schedule, cost, and scope baselines. And you can see it is crystallized in the develop project management plan process. Moving down, we've got the scope management plan, and you have to scroll down to see where the green O is, because that's where it's an output from. So you can see the scope management plan is an output of plan scope management. It's a plan for how to manage scope. And so is the requirements management plan an output of plan scope management. It's a plan for how to manage requirements throughout the life of the project. Then we have the scope baseline. Got to scroll down to see the O. The scope baseline is an output of create WBS. And I'm just going to put a little bit more font size in there just so that you can see what I'm referring to. So that's a scope baseline. It's a collection of the WBS, the WBS dictionary, and the project scope statement. And this is used throughout project management. I mean, I could go on and on showing you all the places that this is used. You can also see the U that Brendan has added here for update. So we can see that the scope baseline is going to be updated in control scope, a number of other places. The schedule management plan is an output of plan schedule management. And you can see right here, this is a plan for how to develop and manage the schedule. The schedule baseline is a particular version of the schedule. So let's scroll down, see where the O is. You can see that's an output of develop schedule, and the schedule baseline is a particular version of the schedule that was approved. It's the schedule etched in stone as a reference point for everything else. The cost management plan, let's look for the O. This is an output of plan cost management, as you'll see here shortly. There's the O. You trace it back. Plan cost management is where we get this from, and it's a plan for how to manage scope on the project. And let's scroll across just to make it easier for you to follow. I think I was actually out of frame there almost. So let's take a look at the cost baseline. The cost baseline is a unique snapshot of the overarching plan for the budget. So when you think about a cost baseline, you have to extract part of the budget that is made active for the purpose of the control account items and everything else. Now, this could be a bit hard to explain without looking at the PMP guide, where you can see that the cost baseline is a subset of the project budget, because the project budget has the cost baseline and management reserves, but management reserves are not put into effect for use until there's a change request. Those management reserves that you are asking for are then released, and then they become part of the cost baseline. So there's a bit of a cycle to it. It will take reading the PMP guide a little bit more, the 6th edition, to understand that fully. Quality management plan, if we scroll a little bit down again, you'll see the green telling you, yep, that's where it's from. Let's make this a little bit bigger, just so that you can follow. And the quality management plan is a plan for how to manage quality on the project. Then we have the resource management plan. Again, it's a plan for how to manage all manner of resources: human, equipment, material, supplies, and facilities. And there you can see the resource management plan is an output of plan resource management. Then we go on to the communications management plan. Scroll down a little bit and you see the O for output, and you can see where it comes from. So let's make that a bit bigger. And you can see the communications management plan, a plan for how to manage communications, comes from plan communications management. Let's go to risk. The risk management plan, you can see it's an output of plan risk management, and it's used to guide our entire risk management process array. You can see that it goes into a number of places, but I'll let you do that on your own. For now, this is just a high-level look at what exactly we get from each of these planning processes. Scrolling down a little bit more, you're going to get to plan procurement management, and this is where we get our procurement management plan. And this is a plan for how to manage procurements in their entirety on the project. So we plan, we conduct, we control those procurements, and this plan helps us do that. Last but not least in this list, you've got the stakeholder engagement plan. And again, I can make this a little bit smaller just so it fits. This is from Plan Stakeholder Engagement, and it's a plan for how to engage our stakeholders. And that's that for the project management plan. Again, a huge shout out to our friend Brendan for supplying us with this really cool document that helps us study the project management plan components. Let's go to the next tab. And this is where we have a gazillion of these documents. You can see he's numbered them 1 to 33. Again, we can use the same process of looking for where the green output is, the output sign there. So assumption log is from Develop Project Charter, and it logs our assumptions and constraints. Requirements documentation is an output of collect requirements, and let's just scroll down to that O, and you can see from collect requirements we get the requirements documentation and requirements traceability matrix. The requirements documentation, I like looking at this as anything that we use to document our requirements, the reasoning behind the requirements, and how the requirements meet the business need, how the requirements help the business or the customer. the requirements traceability matrix is a specific type of document. It has a matrix similar to the matrix that you're looking at here, rows and columns. The only thing is that requirements traceability matrix is used to track requirements to their origin. The lessons learned register is a register that we get from managed project knowledge, as you can see from the O over here, and it's used for documenting lessons learned. What went well, what didn't go so well, what are we going to do better next time on the next project. Next, we have the stakeholder register. It's all the way at the bottom, so let's scroll down to the bottom, and this is where we go to identify stakeholders, and you can see right there, this register is used to document our stakeholders and to record information about their dispositions towards the project in the beginning. Based on what you record here, you go ahead and plan stakeholder engagement, plan how to engage with stakeholders. All right, let's scroll down so that we get to project scope statement. And let's go back up. Let's go to define scope, which is where this is from. So the project scope statement is an output of define scope, and it's used to define in detail the project scope, what needs to be done in order to deliver the deliverable. This is where the deliverable is defined in detail. The risk register is from identify risk, go to where the green is, and this is used to document the risks that have been identified on the project, the cause, the risk, and the effect, and we expand on it to include other things such as the risk score and the risk response, and even more. We could also include quantitative type of data, if we will. All right, next we have the activity list, activity attributes, and milestone list. So this, three of these together, as you'll see, they all come from define activities. Let's go over there. You can see all these three from define activities. And the activity list is the list of activities. Activity attributes further define the activity with a description, and the milestone list is a list of milestones. Project schedule network diagram. This is talked about in sequence activities. It's an output. It just shows how all the tasks or activities in the schedule are linked and the relationship types. This can be seen on the back end of a tool such as MS Project. Next, we go to duration estimates, and this is how long each activity will take. The basis of estimates explains how you arrived at the duration, what is the reasoning behind those durations. Next, we have project team assignments. So Brendan has organized this in a coherent way where things that are common are kind of grouped together. So we can see the project team assignments is an output of acquire resources. So moving on, we have our next entry here, which is resource breakdown structure. The resource breakdown structure breaks down resources by category and type. Think about it as a hierarchical breakdown. Now this is from the resource management area. So scrolling down, you can see the O appears next to estimate activity resources. The next thing here is resource calendars. This is from the acquire resources process, and this shows us when resources are working and when they're not. Next, we have resource requirements. Resource requirements is from estimate activity resources, and this just shows us the requirements for the resources. Tells us how many, how much. You could also think about this as the resource effort where there are human resources. Moving on, we have the project schedule. The project schedule is an output of the develop schedule process, and let's go to where we have the output right here. The O you can see is from develop schedule. The project schedule is the living, breathing schedule that will be updated by the project manager and the team. Next, we have schedule data, which just refers to the data that is in the schedule. We have data that is of a time nature, some data as it pertains to the relationship of resources and dates. All of that is under schedule data. Also, from develop schedule, we have project calendars that show us the working time on the project. When are resources working on the project as a whole, and when are they not? When are the resource times at a high level, and when are the holidays and things like that? Moving on, we have schedule forecast. The schedule forecast comes from the control schedule process, and this is a forecast of the future outcomes from a schedule perspective based on today's performance. Next, we have cost estimates. This comes from estimate costs, and this is the estimate for each activity on the project. Next, we have cost forecasts. Again, the word forecast means this is from the monitoring and controlling process group, and from cost management, this is from control cost. Moving on, we have quality metrics, and a quality metric is an attribute to be measured. This is decided upon in plant quality management. Next, we have quality control measurements, and this is an output of the control quality process. These quality control measurements are as a result of inspection, and when we get these, we have a better idea of how good our deliverable is, how appropriate it is to send this deliverable to the customer, because sometimes a deliverable might have measurements that show a less than ideal outcome. In those regards, you do not want to send the deliverable to the customer. You got to fix it first. So the quality control measurements help you understand if that deliverable is good to go to the customer. All right, moving on, we have risk report, and the risk report, I look at this as a state of the union address as far as risk is concerned. What is the state of risk on the project overall? What are the singular activity level risks that can impact the project hugely, and what are the overall project risks? That comes from identify risks and is updated all throughout the project. Next, we have quality reports. As you can see from the O, this is from the process known as managed quality. A quality report, again, is a state of the project at a high level from a quality perspective. Next, we have test and evaluation documents, also an output of managed quality. These documents are used to document the outcomes of testing and inspection that happens in control quality. Next, we have the team charter. This is from the plan resource management process, as you can see here. And this is a document that specifies the behaviors that are deemed to be good and acceptable and those that may not be. Rules as far as communication is concerned. We have ground rules in the team charter, group norms, and so on. In the world of Agile, we could also include definition of ready and definition of done. Moving to the issue log, this is an output from integration from the direct and manage project work process, and this is used to document issues that we encounter. Remember, issues are realized risks. Next, we have physical resource assignments. Again, this is documented proof that resources have been assigned to a task, and these are resources of a physical nature. This is an output of acquire resources. So whenever a resource is assigned to a task, there should be some documented proof, documented record of that. Next, we have the change log, and the change log is from the perform integrated change control process. It's an output from there. It's not explicit, so you don't see it explicitly, and it's right here. And I would include this as such. Let me make a quick adjustment to our sheet here. Just take that, and over here it is from perform integrated change control as an output. So let's put that in there. All right. And that's the change log, and it's an output, as you can see, from perform integrated change control. Final thing we have here is project communications. And project communications, this is, excuse me, the cobwebs here. Okay, I think it's hardwired, so I need to get Brendan to update that. But project communications are communications that are received throughout the project that are distributed to stakeholders. This is an output from the managed communications process, these communications will eventually be archived at some point. And that is all of the project management plan components and project documents. Also in this sheet, Brendan has put in some categories, as you can see here. Business documents, the business case, the benefits management plan. He's also included the project charter. He's got a group of the project documents there. He's got a group of the procurement documents. He's got some other procurement documents listed here. He's got the final report and team performance assessments. So all of these just call your attention to terminology that you should be aware of as you prepare for the exam. So huge shout out to Brendan. Thank you for the sheet. Thank you for the brilliant work. I hope this helps you. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Bye for now.